Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my 23-week pregnancy update. So in today's video, as always, we will be going over baby development and how the baby is doing, including movements, and then we are going to talk about my physical symptoms and cover a little bit about my mental health, and we will finish with a belly shot at the end, and I do have a weight gain update for you guys today as well. So before we move into talking about baby's development at 23 weeks, I just want to quickly say that I do have a little bit of a cold. It was much worse at the beginning of the week, but my voice is very funny at the minute, so if I sound weird, that is why. But now we will move into talking about baby's development. So baby is apparently as big as a grapefruit and weighs around 540 grams this week. I haven't had a scan recently, so I'm not sure exactly how much the baby weighs, so we will just go off what the What to Expect website is telling us, although I'm really dubious about the measurements that they give with saying it's as big as a grapefruit and all the fruit comparisons. When they then say how much in centimetres and inches it should be, I've never seen a grapefruit that big, but on my Ovia app it says it is the size of a chinchilla this week, so we will go with that and say that right now it is the size of a chinchilla. So baby's skin is also now developing some colour due to arteries and veins developing right underneath the skin this week. And from now, apparently baby should be gaining significant amounts of weight, and within the next 4 weeks it should actually be doubling its weight from what it is now. So we obviously don't have much longer to go. We are in month 6, so we only have 3 months left. So yeah, obviously baby, considering the baby last week was only weighing about £1 and is just over £1 this week, there is still a long way to go of a lot of weight to put on before baby is born, so weight gain is going to rapidly increase from this week. And instead of doing a separate segment on baby movements today, because there isn't much different to tell you apart from that it's just a very strong active baby, but one thing that I have noticed, apart from the fact that the baby is starting to develop more of a pattern, and I am noticing certain times, especially on an evening and stuff when the baby is more active, one thing that I keep forgetting to mention, it's probably been going on for maybe 1 or 2 weeks now, but baby does hiccup, and I do detect and notice when baby hiccups, and I can feel that rhythmic sensation that you can just tell it's not a limb per se, it is the baby just like jolting, but it is just a repetitive consistent pattern, so that's really nice to be able to tell that baby is like hiccuping and just doing really cute things in there, and it helps me visualize baby more, so it helps me feel like I'm getting to know baby a little bit more. So that's about everything for baby's development this week, and moving on now to talk about my physical pregnancy symptoms. So like I say, I'm full of cold. It is not as bad as it was earlier on in the week, but that has generally impacted how I have felt physically and mentally in the last week or so. I've been very bunged up and snotty, and yeah, it's really affected my sleep that obviously from previous updates you'll know was already pretty bad, and so I have not had much sleep. But on the upside, that does mean that because I haven't been able to sleep, I've been getting up earlier and I've been much more productive. So I guess there's swings and roundabouts and a silver lining to every situation. So I have actually just tried to make the most of the time that I've been awake and still tried to be as productive as my body would let me. But I've also had to recognise and learn to take it a bit slower when my body is struggling, fighting a cold, breastfeeding and being pregnant as well, and as you can tell I'm a little bit out of breath. Thankfully, actually, my daughter has not been breastfeeding as much, which especially with the tender nipple situation that I was having with breastfeeding her, that's not actually been a bad thing. She does still have it every now and again, but even there can be days where I maybe do go a whole day or even 2 days sometimes without feeding her. So I don't know if that is my breast milk is changing. I know yesterday I was actually leaking, so I don't know if that was a pregnancy thing or it's because I hadn't fed her in a day or so. I'm really hoping to be able to tandem feed through and once this baby is born, so we will see what happens. But I know that my son did wean when I was pregnant with our daughter Silver Rose, so we will just see what happens. And I guess it's possibly, I don't know, I'm not ready for that journey to be over yet. I've been really enjoying breastfeeding and really proud of it, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that she will keep going and that maybe once I'm not pregnant it will pick up again. But obviously I will be talking with a lactation consultant to make sure that baby will be getting all the colostrum that it needs for gaining weight. So I also mentioned the other week that I've been doing diabetes testing to prevent and kind of monitor that if I am going to develop gestational diabetes, and thankfully so far every time I've done a reading I have always had a good reading. It's always been a really low reading, so even if I've eaten not necessarily amazingly, I still seem to be managing my blood sugars. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this pregnancy it is not going to develop, but we will just see how we go. But I'm feeling comfortable doing the test once a week for 2 times once a week. So yeah, I'm just really pleased that thankfully so far, touch wood, this baby has not triggered any diabetes. And on that note, that is pretty good considering my craving, which I know I haven't really mentioned loads of cravings recently. I guess I've just not really had many cravings this pregnancy, but one thing that I am living for at the minute is hot chocolates. So obviously they are not great if I did have diabetes, but thankfully I don't. So I am indulging, and most nights I do want a hot chocolate. I think as well, like, I seem to have obsessed during this pregnancy with Christmas. I don't know what it is, and because it's especially getting to that time of year where it's kind of cozy weather and just getting autumnal and it's cold outside, I don't know, I just have this thing about every night I want a hot chocolate, but I only ever have one because I don't want to be overdoing it with sugar intake, because I do have coffee during the day as well, so I don't want to, I'm still trying to minimise sugar intake, but I can't resist a hot chocolate on an evening. And I'm not sure if this is a craving or not. It kind of has only happened in the last 2 days or so, so we will just see how it goes, whether it's going to develop into a craving. But it's something that I really wanted, and that was coleslaw. And I know that sounds like just the weirdest thing to be craving. Obviously we're vegan, so we buy a vegan one that Morrison sells. But yeah, the night that I said I had to have coleslaw, and I ate the whole tub in one sitting, and then I had like half a tub with my tea last night and stuff. So yeah, that seems to be the thing that seems to be starting, but I don't feel like any of my cravings ever last. Like, even through all my pregnancies, I've never really had long-term cravings. Maybe in my first pregnancy I did crave nectarines for quite a while, and I did crave caramel slices, but in this pregnancy I don't seem to have had any cravings that have really lasted a long period of time, and it always just seems to change and I just need whatever I want there and then. But yeah, so that is what I'm craving at the moment. Physical symptom wise, one thing that has started in the last week is Braxton Hicks. I mean, I don't know, did I mention it last week? I think we should just come to the conclusion that baby brain is a consistent symptom that I have had throughout this entire pregnancy. I seem to always forget what I've told you the week before, even if I write it all down and stuff, and I'm obviously the one that is editing these videos afterwards as well, and I'm watching the same clips over and over. I still manage to forget what I've told you. But Braxton Hicks is definitely something that is starting to happen, and it actually makes me very nervous, because I don't know if it's just been a really long time since I've had kind of tightenings and like a crampy feeling. You know, I'm obviously 6 months pregnant now, so it's 6 months since like I was having periods, and I'd only had them for a few months because of breastfeeding, and then obviously I'd been pregnant before that. So I haven't had much of that sort of sensation within my body for a really long time, and it's kind of an unfamiliar feeling, and I think we just naturally associate cramping in pregnancy and stuff with something bad, especially in the early days. And although I'm not really in the early days anymore now, I think because I've gone through pregnancy, we're going through a pregnancy after a loss, that it just makes me very nervous. I'm always generally a nervous mum, so yeah, sometimes I do just panic, but they literally last seconds and then dissipate and they're fine. I was going to talk to my midwife about it though, just to get some reassurance, but I do know it's normal. Literally, this is my 4th pregnancy. I kind of know what happens, I know it's fine, but I worry in case it's then going to develop into contractions. I'm always worried about like preterm labour and stuff like that, but I am trying to keep a level head and just be mindful and not over panic myself, because that's the worst thing you can do. So I am trying to just stay calm and just let my body do what it's naturally meant to do. Even if I can't have a natural birth, my body doesn't know that, and it's still going to prepare itself, and that's a beautiful thing, that our bodies do naturally know what they're doing, and that we should just trust our bodies. And that's a big thing that you learn in hypnobirthing, is trusting your body and your baby, and that your body does know how to deliver your baby safely. So physically, I think that is everything for my physical symptoms, and I think it's time to give you a quick update on my mental health. Generally, this has been a much better week, apart from being full of cold, and I guess that does naturally, it affects anybody. If you're like feeling under the weather, it can make you feel a little bit rotten and stuff, and I did have one day where I was very hormonal and very emotional. I'd watched something on YouTube. It was I watched KK and Baby J, their daily vlogs, and she was talking about her infertility issues, and it just made me, kind of took me back to a place of remembering my loss, and it took me back to just the difficulties I've had of being a mum. And I felt like the world's worst mum, and I it hasn't been an easy natural thing for me as motherhood. I'm not naturally a motherly person. I am maternal in the sense of protective over my own children, but I don't find it comes very natural to me all the time, and so I have struggled with being a mum over the past 4 years. And I just had one of them days where I was full of cold, I hadn't slept, and the floodgates opened. So Fabian gave me a big cuddle and stuff and kind of helped reassure me before going off to work. But that was just one of them days where it was just a combination of everything that kind of all got on top of me, and it was just mum guilt and hormones and just everything compiled into one moment. And I just had a little bit of a blip, but actually generally I've been really positive. I've been super motivated. I think because I've been getting up early as well, because of being full of cold, I've been very productive, which always makes me feel good. And I'm just generally being realistic and getting on with my life, and I'm just trying to tell myself to enjoy life and choose to be happy. And I have started writing on a morning the things that I'm grateful for, and I definitely believe in the law of attraction and stuff, and so I've definitely been trying to implement that even more into my life and journaling a lot more, and it's really helped with my mental health in the last week. One thing that has been difficult, and I don't know if this is a thing that comes from borderline personality disorder or it's an anxiety thing. I think when I've spoke about this in the past with my mental health workers, it comes from a place of anxiety, and I've mentioned this before, but I've really been struggling with intrusive thoughts, and they're really just very disturbing thoughts, and I guess I'm pleased that in a way I understand them, because it would be very concerning for me if I didn't understand where they were coming from and why they happen. And I know that the best way to deal with them is to tackle the anxiety, because that's why they happen. And so as long as I can manage the anxiety, then I can make them thoughts go away and they occur less frequently. And I know I have peace of mind that I would never do any of the things that come into my head. I am obviously talking with mental health professionals. I don't want you guys to worry that anything's gonna happen, but yeah, it is just one thing that I've really struggled with this week. And I think one thing that I've found has been really helpful is a lot of doing visualizations. I'm really trying to start to picture this baby, and whenever I have these intrusive thoughts, I visualise in my mind actually just holding the baby on my chest and what a baby feels like. And I don't know why I have it in my head. I keep visualising this baby with dark hair, which seems so unrealistic because none of my other kids have had dark hair. Well, no, I guess, no, Lani did have dark hair, it's just gone lighter, so it is possible actually. But for some reason in my head I have this little dark haired, like cute tiny little baby in my, like on my chest and stuff, and I'm just trying to use that visualization to bond with baby and to turn sometimes when I'm anxious and stuff into a more positive situation and just focus on looking forward and focus on the future and the positives and really bonding with baby. But that is pretty much everything for my mental health update, so now I think it's time to move on to a belly shot and a weight update. Okay, so this is my belly from the front, and while we are showing you my belly, I will say that my weight is now 60 kilo, and I started this pregnancy at around 55. I did actually lose some weight when I first got pregnant, so that's from the left hand side, but obviously I have now put that back on, and this is from the front, and I can feel baby kicking now, and that's from the right hand side. But yeah, basically I started at 55, went down, and now I'm up to 60. In my first pregnancy I did get to 70 kilo with my son Bo, so we will see. Hopefully I'm not going to put on as much weight, but yeah, we will see. So I think that was pretty much everything for my 23-week pregnancy update. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up down below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, it really helps out my channel. And don't forget to leave a comment and say hi so I can get to know you guys, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.